Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Alona Taraka, and welcome to WIJT radio show here on our YouTube channel. For one of the shows that perhaps may go out today I'm going to do a redo of the show I did on Monday to commemorate Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. And on that day, what did you do? Did you celebrate? Did you go out and purchase a cake from a local grocery store? Or did you bake a cake with your family? Or go to a local bakery and purchase a cake there and bring it home and celebrate? All right. Now, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was a marvelous example of a gentleman, and he lived ahead of his time with his philosophies of conflict resolution and maintaining peace within our society. If Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was alive today, I think he would be a little happier to see the major changes that have already happened in our society since his passing. But we still have a long way to go, folks. It is just so sad that in our living environment, we still see inequalities and negativity towards our fellow humans. Humans are naturally territorial, so conflict is a reality that must be made known, and a solution needs to be made happen as soon as possible. Now, in his memory, let's devote some time here to his teachings and how you can utilize these in your families and communities. But first, let's have a moment of silence. Thank you. All right, excuse me. I'm going to put on my reading glasses here. There we go. Now, when we think about conflict resolution and nonviolence, we think about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. These are the cornerstones of his foundational teachings to ensure our society has the ability to resolve its differences on their own. So instead of always relying on the justice system for a solution, we have the ability to do this conflict resolution on our own. You are an intelligent human being, so you need to use the best of your communication skills to resolve conflicts, whether they be within the family or in your community. Now, how do we do this, or where do we go? Well, I believe every community has the ability to provide a place where local residents can go to try to resolve the conflict. Whether it be in a library meeting room, a community center, a place of worship, or, believe it or not, meeting at a restaurant to share a meal. Breaking bread together does help with conflict resolution. Now, when we do meet to resolve our differences, here is a list of conflict resolution etiquette rules that we should adopt into our family dynamics and community conflicts. Number 1, do not criticize or put down one another. Number 2, do not point fingers at each other. This is rude. Number 3, control your anger. Number 4, do not yell, scream, or shout in front of the children. especially. Number 5, speak in a respectful tone of voice. Number 6, do not curse or use negative language. Now, I want to go on a tangent here when we want to talk about our negative language versus our positive language. And yes, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., he believed in nonviolent communication. And yes, there is a difference between nonviolent communication and violent communication skills. And you usually learn about these as you are growing up. For example, the choice of words that are used within our own speaking skills will determine the communication between us that creates the environment of how a conflict is either resolved or goes on for a long time without improvement. Now, for example, a violent communication word is hate. All right? That is a very strong word. Nobody hates you. Also, if you feel the environment, the mood or the feeling of the environment around you, that is when you can usually gauge the difference in how someone is speaking to you. All right? Whether it's using nonviolence communication versus violent communication. Number 7, respect and validate one another's feelings. Number 8, when expressing feelings, always use I statements. For example, I feel uncomfortable when you raise your voice. Or I feel angry when you come home too late. These are I statements. That means you are taking the responsibility for this communication that is transpiring between you and another person. And what you don't want to do is communicate using the word you. You came home too late. You are raising your voice. Because right away, it becomes a criticism. Hopefully it could be constructive if the other person would like to hear that. But any type of criticism or sarcasm or negativity in your speech, the other person is going to get on the defense. You do not want to start resolving a conflict with someone, and within the first minutes of meeting them, all of a sudden you put them on the attack. You attack them with your negativity and your violent communication words. All right? That is going, like I said, that is going to put the other person on defense, and you do not want to see that happen. You do not want to see someone going on the defense. All right? That is not healthy for the two of you or more if there's a conflict with more than two of you. And, that's what you need to do. That's how you communicate with one another when you're trying to resolve a conflict. Number 9, turn off all technology when trying to resolve a conflict. That means all telephones, cell phones, televisions, radios, Kindles, and computers. You need to turn all that off, put it all away, because you need to give your 100% attention to this other person in order to try to resolve the conflict peacefully with a calm and peaceful tone of voice. Number 10, do not drink alcohol or do drugs when you're trying to resolve a conflict. That means that if you set a time or a date when you would meet with the other person to resolve the conflict, which is a really good way to incorporate into your calendar. You want to be as clear-minded as possible, all right? So that means the time that leads up to your conflict resolution appointment, and also during the time of resolving the conflict, you do not want to be drinking alcohol. And getting high on marijuana is not going to give you focus and improve your thinking while you are working on the priority here of resolving a conflict. After the conflict has been resolved, you give each other a hug or a handshake. This is a good feeling because it improves intimacy between you and the other person, and that is always a great positive way to leave the conflict resolution process alone. Now, following these rules will greatly assist in your conflict resolution efforts. So now, what we can do on this day, or January 15th, every year in memory of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., we should start resolving conflicts that you are currently experiencing within yourself using talk therapy. Talk therapy is an excellent way to start resolving problems on your own. Because if you have inner demons inside of you, these are personal conflicts that you need to try to resolve before you go to the next level of conflict resolution. So number one, we have the conflicts within ourselves. Then we have the conflicts within our family. Then we have the conflicts within our community. And the conflicts within our community are then broken down into further levels. The first level is the local community. Second level is either your county or district. Then we have number 3, state level. Number 4, we have your national level. And number 5, we have the international level of conflict resolution, which is all about following the processes of etiquette and protocol, which we utilize in the form of diplomacy. And yes, you can also use diplomatic processes as you are resolving conflicts in any layer of society. Now, personally, I do try to resolve the conflicts in my own family. But, sometimes members of my family are not interested in resolving their own inner conflicts in order for my family dynamics to improve. And that's all right. So, if that happens, you just move on in your family or move on your own. And you may find other people in your community that are like-minded and who think positively. So if you have a conflict with this person, they say, oh, that's great. Yes, let's resolve this conflict. Let's get this, resolved before too much time goes on. All right. You want to try to create a happy environment in your community. So that's how you do it. So another name that we can use here for today is Conflict Resolution Day. Do not let another year go by with negative thinking about yourself or others that have come onto your path in life. All right? Now, you want to wake up in the morning and say, well, what will God place in my path today. And hopefully he will not place negative people or a negative situation in your life on today and every day. Now, as a teacher, I'd like to give you an assignment. And the assignment is you would like to choose a conflict and try to resolve it. Start resolving the conflict today. Not only on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, but on any day. Sit down and try to, write down this conflict that you are having, either within yourself or with other people, and start trying to resolve the conflict. There is nothing stopping you. You are creating that boundary within yourself. And do not have fear when you are trying to resolve a conflict with others. Because if everyone follows these rules of conflict resolution etiquette, then you should have no problems trying to resolve the conflict on your own. All right? Remember, you are an intelligent human being, and don't let anyone else, deter you from thinking that way. Because, like I said before, you have the ability inside of you to resolve conflicts peacefully. Now, other ideas that we may have or that we may bring into the community to resolve conflicts is start a peace corner in our elementary school classrooms, or a peace room in our middle and high schools, systems and districts. Or you start a talking circle with a talking stick, either in a community center or within your family. Now, for example, in my family, the way we are resolving our conflicts right now, these are our dynamics. Usually, my family is scattered all over the planet. So, what happens is we communicate by the email system. So, when we want to share a feeling, whether it's positive or negative, or we want to review something that someone said that hurt us in some way, we write the family members, immediate family members, at the same time receiving the same information. And this way it avoids much misinformation and misunderstandings that may occur. All right. So, for example, also a talking stick could be a stuffed animal. So I'll start the conflict resolution process, and I'll say on the email, all right, I have the stuffed animal. This is my negative feeling. This is my positive feeling. This is a conflict that I'm having right now with you or with this one or that one. And then we start the conflict resolution through the email process. And what I've noticed that has happened is that we also increase our texting and our telephone calls. And of course, if a family member is so moved, they will send a card on, the email system, or a regular card in snail mail, or a postcard. So, this is my family example on how we resolve the conflict using the email system. Way back, many years ago, when we were all living together, we would sit down quietly in our family room and discuss the conflicts that we were having at that time in order to improve our family dynamics. And yes, that's what we would do. We would sit in a circle in the family room, and one by one, we would share a feeling that we have with another person. And that's how we did it in our family meetings. All right. And at the end of the family meeting, when we had something resolved and everyone was at a higher level of understanding of one another, we would get into a football huddle and give a group hug to everyone. All right. And that's how we ended our family meetings, with a group hug. All right. So, that happened many, many years ago in my family. We do not do that anymore. So, that is a very nice, positive memory that we all have in our family. And perhaps, you may adopt that way into your own family of how you're going to, uh, show that you care about each other and you love each other within your family conflict resolution processes. All right. So today, or Monday, we celebrated Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. So we want to try to think about his philosophies and how it may guide us through life, and try to, help resolve conflicts wherever we may go. There's nothing wrong with that. Become a active person in your community, and you will see that you will become happier, and the other community members will be happier, and you will be creating a much more positive environment, whether it be within your own world or the world of your family or in the world of your community. All right. So again, if you have any questions or comments that you would like to add, please, write it in our comment section or send us an email at epii@ymail.com. That's epii@ymail.com. So what are you going to do now? You're going to eat cake and you're going to wish Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. a happy birthday. Thank you and have a good day.